Alright, so in the last video we talked about Canvas, which basically allows us to draw shapes and graphics using JavaScript. Okay, we created a context for our Canvas tag, and we could draw circles and squares and lines. So SVG is different in that instead of using JavaScript, we're using XML, okay, which uses tags much like HTML. So we're going to go into the body here, and we're going to add an SVG tag. And what we're going to do is just draw a circle. So SVG, we're going to set the width of this to 300, and let's set the height. We'll set that to 300. And we're going to close that off, and it needs an ending tag as well. And then in here, we're going to put a circle tag. Okay, so you can kind of think of this SVG as the canvas. Okay, and then we're going to draw on it. We're going to put a circle in the canvas. So it's going to take a CX attribute, which we're going to set to 100. And what that is, the CX, it's the x-axis coordinate of the center of the element, okay, which we're going to set to 100. And then we also have a CY, which we're going to set to 100, which is the y-axis. And then we're going to set R to 80, and that has to do with the radius. And let's set stroke, which is the border color. We'll set that to red. And then we can set a stroke width. Set that to 4. We'll have a fill of green, and that should do it. Okay, and you want to use this backslash when you're ending this circle tag. All right, and then if the browser doesn't support inline SVG, we can put an error here. Just like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this and see what we get. And you can see we get a circle with a green fill and a red border or stroke. Alright, so that's a circle. Now we can do the same thing. We can draw a rectangle. So let's put an SVG tag here, and we'll set the width. Let's set it to 400, and we'll set the height. We'll set that to 200. Alright, and then in here we're going to use the rect tag. We'll make the width of this 400 as well. And we'll set the height, let's say 100. Actually, let's do 300 and 100. Okay, and then we can also set a style attribute here. Oops. Okay, so in here, let's say fill. We could use color text or hexadecimal, and we can also use an RGB value. So we'll say RGB 25500, which is red. Whoops, what happened there? That should be in the. That should be as a parameter here. All right, and then we're going to separate these with semicolons. So this one will be stroke width. And we'll set that to, set that to 1, and we'll say stroke, and we can also use RGB values here. So we'll make this black, so 000, and let's take a look at that. And there we have a rectangle. Okay, we can put a line break here if we want to put them on separate lines. Didn't want to do that. Alright. Now if we want to do polygon, we can also do that, which is kind of a different shape. So let's see, we'll do width 300, height will be 200, and let's say polygon, and this is going to actually have a points attribute. So I'm just going to paste in a bunch of numbers here. These are just the different points of the polygon. And then let's add a style. and we'll say fill. Fill it with yellow. Stroke will be black, and let's say stroke width, we'll say 5, and then we're going to say fill rule, and we want even odd will be the fill rule. Alright, so let's see what that gives us. Alright, so you can see that gives us a star shape or a polygon shape. Now the last thing I want to do here is I want to do kind of a logo, which will be a shape with some text in it that we can do in pure SVG. Alright, so let's do height 130 and width 500, and we're going to use an ellipse here. So we'll say ellipse, and the x-axis 105, CY will say 70, and then RX will be 85, and RY will be 60. So this isn't going to be a circle, it's going to be kind of an oval shape. And let's make the fill black. Okay, and then under that we're going to put in some text, and I'm going to say fill, which will be white, and let's set font size to 45, font family, we'll set that to Tahoma, and then we need an X and Y value, so X will be 50, and then from the top we'll say 86. Alright, and then that's actually going to have, that's going to have the text inside here. We'll just say logo and save, and you can see we got a little logo here. So you could actually use this, something like this, instead of having an image for your logo. Obviously you could get a little more advanced than this, but that's basically how you can do it. Put a line break there. Alright, so again, this isn't stuff that's really something you'd have on your production website, but it gets you familiar with how to use SVG, how to draw some basic shapes, some of the tags and attributes to use. Alright, so that's going to be it. In the next video, we are going to look into web storage, which includes both local and session storage.